last class we had discussed with the first four functions of commercial banks. Moving on to the fifth function, bankers bank. RBI has responsibility of developing an adequate and sound banking system to cater to the needs of trade, industries, agriculture, etc. RBI has extensive powers of supervision and control over commercial banks. Now, here, as the name itself says, bankers bank. Now, in case any commercial bank has any kind of shortage of funds or are not able to process NPA, that is non-performing assets, or take any kind of legal action upon certain companies, RBI comes to the rescue of the commercial banks. So RBI has the responsibility of developing an adequate and sound banking system to whatever today banking system stands, right, in terms of technologies, services, the kind of accounts, or all the kinds of developments that we see is being instituted or being developed or regulated by the Reserve Bank of India. So it is the RBI's responsibility to develop what? Adequate banking system. So every now and then banks can always RBI can always intervene into the matters of commercial bank working, right? What kind of decisions they are making, what kind of operations are going on, right? Anytime if RBI official walks in and asks them to submit their books of accounts, right, banks must be able to produce the right books of accounts. And that we know that the last 1 hour of every commercial bank is a time to tally their accounts. The total cash inflow and the total cash outflow has to match, and all the correct receipts and the counterfoils must be matching, right? This update they have to give it to the RBI, submit to the RBI every single day, right? There's going to be lots of transaction every single day with amounts to maybe crores, right? So every single day, if you have gone to a bank maybe after 3 or 3:30, differs to each bank, they would even though the bank is open, the employees are sitting there, but they would not entertain any kind of transaction, right? That because the last 1 hour is left for each commercial bank to update their each day transaction status to RBI. So that way RBI always has a control over the working of the commercial banks, right? It moves towards the needs of the trade and commerce, industries, agriculture, etc. We had wide variety of services or account services provided to these sectors mentioned, and extensive powers of supervision and control over commercial banks. Now, supervision in the sense, every now and then there's going to be a quick or a surprise check about the books of accounts, or even the amount of gold kept in the locker, right? Is there sufficient documents available to it, right? If there's certain person, they also keep a track. If there is one account that is found suspicious, there is numerous amount of transfers from a foreign country into that account, bank quickly notifies that change or notifies that transaction to RBI. I repeat, if there is an account suspiciously, that means suddenly there is lakhs of rupees being transferred from some other country account to our country account, correct? Now that is very suspicious. Out of nowhere, the account is very much active and receiving funds. So all such suspicions are going to be notified to the RBI immediately, and RBI is going to take control over such actions. Is that clear? Now, because always banks keep a check that our income must match with our expenditure. If a person's income is, let's say, rupees 1 lakh for entire 1 year, but your expenditures are going beyond 10 lakh rupees, then there's something to be suspicious about that person's transaction. Where is the rest of the 9 lakh? What is the source of income for him, right? All these observations are made by the commercial banks and then notified to the Reserve Bank of India. On the same way, if there is any kind of funds required for commercial banks, they're running short of funds, right? Their liquidity position is very low, then yes, the banks can approach the central bank. If we are running short of money as individuals or as companies, we approach commercial banks to take loan. In the same manner, when commercial banks are running short of funds, they approach the Reserve Bank of India. That's the meaning of Bankers Bank. Point 6. Lender of last resort. That is to safeguard the interest of deposit, centralize the banking reserves, and regulate and control the credit position of commercial banks. Now, let's say in case HDFC Bank has certain, is running short of funds. So it approaches SBI Bank, State Bank of India. HDFC Bank approaches State Bank of India. Like these, all these bankers, all these commercial banks, if any one of the bank is having some kind of deficiency in the funds or deficit of funds, right, it can approach its fellow banker. It can approach its fellow banker. But if the fellow banker rejects the help of supplying money or giving any kind of financial assistance, then who is the last person you can reach out to? Again, it is Reserve Bank of India. So RBI acts as a lender of last resort. If there's no other ways that you can take help, financial assistance for a bank, then the bank can approach RBI. But the focus is on safeguarding the interest of depositors. Now, because why is they running short of funds and going and approaching RBI? Because for the commercial banks, there are depositors demanding money. Got it? Depositors are demanding money. Whatever the money they have deposited in a particular account, they want to pre-close it or they want to take back the money, etc. Got it? So it is to safeguard the interest of depositors. With so much of trust and security, we keep our money with the banks. But if banks tell we do not have enough cash to pay your deposits, is that acceptable? Is that fair enough? Definitely not, right? So therefore, commercial banks go to the resort of RBI. They also make sure to centralize the banking reserve. As I told, each day the update of the entire day's transaction goes to whom? Reserve Bank of India. Every day the update has to match the amount of cash in hand and the receipts received, right? A counterfoil. Everything has to match. Even a small zero is missing. Even 10 rupees there's a difference. The person who has signed on that receipt is accountable. Is that clear? Even if it's a 10 rupees, even if it's 5 rupees difference in the books of accounts each day, the banker or the employee of the bank, whoever has signed on that receipt, who have received the deposit, is accountable for that missing amount. It can be 10 rupees or it can be to 1 lakh rupees. The banker whose signature is on the counterfoil, he or she is going to be held responsible. If the accounts are not tallied or if the mistake is not found out at the end of the day, he is supposed to put in from his own pocket that amount. Okay, so banking services are all centralized to the RBI. They regulate and control the credit position of commercial bank. As I told, as in time in and time out, the SLR and the CRR rates are revised. Understand? What is the purpose? To control the credit position. What SLR and CRR rate was 5 years before, if you can check now, it won't be the same. They keep regulating it or changing it for controlling the credit or controlling the cash position in the economy. Is that clear? That is the meaning of lender of last resort. Number 7, central bank has bank clearance. Interbank claims are settled by simple transfers without payment of cash. As RBI holds the cash reserves of commercial banks, it is easy and convenient for the RBI to settle interbank claims, because every commercial bank that is set up or that is established in India is being registered under the RBI Act of 1934, correct? So once you're registered there, you have to follow the norms given by RBI. That is, let's say, the statutory liquidity ratio or the cash reserve ratio, etc. So whose funds are these? Commercial bank, a part of their deposits as a percentage on it are submitting to whom? Are keeping their reserves with RBI. So let's say in case S Bank is has to pay SBI rupees 10 lakh. Okay, S Bank has to pay rupees 10 lakh to SBI. They owe the funds. They have borrowed from SBI, so they need to pay back. So RBI helps in bank clearance. Since already S Bank's statutory liquidity ratio percentage is with RBI, instead of putting cash to each other, they're only with the RBI. RBI helps to clear the settlement or settle the balances between each banks. Because why? Every individual bank's reserves lies with whom? RBI. Therefore, it is easy and more convenient for RBI to settle the claims between these interbank transfers. Right? When bank takes a financial help from another fellow banker, it is called as interbank transfers. Got it? So, who helps to settle this further? It is RBI with the help of reserves that banks already have submitted or banks already have kept with the RBI. Number 8, custodian of foreign exchange. Now, every foreign transaction, external trade or internal trade, everything goes through RBI. RBI has to be notified. Any amount of currencies, any amount of foreign currencies, any amount of foreign inward remittance system, FIRPS. Hope you remember that concept, right? If there is any foreign direct transfers, everything has to be notified by the RBI, taken a prior permission from the RBI. It has the sole responsibility of maintaining the external value of rupee. RBI holds the most of the nation's foreign exchange reserve, and RBI acts as the agent of Government of India. So therefore, any kind of foreign exchange that India is making sure any kind of payments or receipts from the other country, that is the foreign currency, RBI holds the custodian. RBI takes up the responsibility of making the certain payments or receiving in terms of other currency and converting it to our home currency. As I told, the sole responsibility is what? Economic stability, that is maintaining the external value of rupee, that is rupee against the dollar value, correct? 60 rupees per dollar or 70 rupees per dollar, whatever that is, it is the RBI's sole responsibility to make sure what? In order to maintain the rupee value stable in the market. Number 9, information and research functions. RBI undertakes the collection and dissemination of information and conducts research in this field. Dissemination means discharge of information. Okay. RBI issues several periodical publications which explains economic and fiscal development of economy. Now here what information and research functions is, Reserve Bank of India. Now as we know, our Prime Minister, right, visits various countries, correct, and understands what is their banking culture. How do they process the financial transaction? What is the technological system? How far is it updated? Right? What our minister does is they go to various countries and observe and learn from the other developed countries. Got it? We learn from each other. So therefore, when our country Prime Minister visits the other countries, they get to learn and understand, okay, this is how things have been developed. This is how things have been working and the banking system is so advanced. So thus far, RBI is going to what? Undertake the collection of information. So RBI collects the information from various sources and make sure it implements to the best of the utility for Indian or Indian society. Okay, dissemination means what? Discharge of information. How? By several periodical publication. So whatever decisions RBI takes, even if you right now go to an RBI website, Reserve Bank of India website, it shows you what are the recent updates, what are the recent decisions taken. Why? The public needs to know, right? Reserve Bank of India, whatever decisions they have taken, any change in SLR, any change in CRR, any change in the interest rate on loans given, all these details or decisions taken up are always communicated to the public or to the society, because it issues periodical publications which explains the economic and the fiscal development of economy. Economic is the overall all the all the sectors, that is, it can be infrastructure, it can be technological, automobile, pharmaceutical. Overall, how is the economy developed, that also is going to be reported. And also the fiscal means the payments and receipts of government, right? How much has the budget given in the current financial year, to how far has it been executed, what else has to be executed, how much amount of money has been dedicated to agriculture, what is the physical deficit that the country has currently, what is the GDP rate, right? Has it increased from the previous or is it decreased from the previous rate? What are the further improvements to be made to make sure our country is moving forward ahead, correct? All these types of decisions or announcements, everything the RBI takes up under the research functions. What is best for the country and how best we can develop our country. These are the main focus under the ninth function, information and research functions. Is that clear? So these are the 9 different functions of commercial banks. First one was monopoly of note issue, banker to government, advisor to government, controller of credit, banker's bank, lender of last resort, central bank as bank clearance, custodian of foreign exchange, information and research functions.